8 hours after the JKIA fire, and the smell of fire is still very heavy around where we are. And government officials are still wandering in and out of this area.
Right now, we're just throwing you to a press briefing by Cabinet Secretaries led by Transport Cabinet Secretary Engineer Kamau, who is just about to address the nation in regards to this fire right about now.
Schedules and appreciate that they are being routed to their destinations as soon as possible. President Kenyatta wishes to inform all stakeholders and all Kenyans that the fire has been contained, that the cause of the fire is being investigated, and that at this point there is no reason to speculate. The President also wishes to state that there was no loss of life. There has been a serious disruption of the aviation operations at this airport, as you will understand. Contingency measures have been put in place to stabilize the situation and to return the airport to normal operations. President Kenyatta wishes to reassure the entire aviation industry, investors, local and international travelers, that everything is being done to resume normal operations. To that end, we expect cargo and domestic services to resume from this airport this afternoon. They will operate from the cargo terminal. A time frame for the resumption of international flights will be relayed later. However, the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority has granted clearance for the use of Unit 3 of this international airport for departures and arrivals of international flights. We want to guarantee the safety and security of all passengers, and that is our most important consideration at this time. Helplines have been set up where those who wish to get further information can do so. I thank you. If you do have some questions, the secretaries will be able to pick some of them, or I would as well. Yeah.
My name is Larry Mendo. I work with the NTV. Do we know exactly when you'll be resuming international flights? You said it will be later, but what kind of timelines are we talking about?
We are unable to give you a time frame at this point. We are working on that.
Will it be today?
We are unable to give you a time frame.
We can all see the damage that's been done to arrivals and it's almost destroyed. How about the departure areas? For example, Unit 1, we can see burn marks across the walkway. How much damage has been done to the departures at the international airport?
We are unable to quantify the damage at this point. We will be able to relay that later as well.
O'Brien, ABC.
Yeah.
Two questions. You have talked about a helpline has been set up. Could you give us probably give us a number or something? And the other question is, do we know by now how many flights have been diverted Moi Airport and Eldoret Airport at this point?
Do we know?
How many flights have been diverted to Moi in Eldoret, in Mombasa and Eldoret Airport?
That's a detail we can come back to you just now.
Five
Okay.
diverted.
Okay.
5 were diverted and 2 were stopped from coming.
2 flights were stopped from coming in. 5 flights are diverted to various airports.
9 landed before this morning.
And in total, before the fire, 9 aircraft landed. Yes.
What about the helpline?
Oh, you will get that just now. Yes. Yes. We would say we've been encouraged by the response. We think they acted within their powers fairly quickly. We think that they were able to manage the fire in the most appropriate way at the time. Yeah. I think these are operational matters for airlines. We think that the airlines are doing everything possible to ensure that the passengers reach where they need to in good time. There will be some discomfort, obviously, because this is not the time when you expect full comfort as usual, but everything is being done to ensure that every passenger gets to their destination as soon as is possible. Yeah.
Last order for voices. How many passengers go through the airport every day?
6 million a year. That would make it about 16,000 a day.
How many flights a day?
Well, where is the airport manager?
Yeah.
They could answer some of
You'll
those
be able to get that. We should be able to get that. But it's 16,000 a day. We should be able to quantify in a later release.
Any security arrangements?
Yeah.
Any security arrangement?
Any security rearrangement?
Definitely security. Security at the airport has definitely been enhanced. You can see around ourselves we have a lot of security personnel, and the security has taken over the scene of the fire, and definitely we want to guarantee that the security of individuals and property that still exists there is protected. And going forward, we want to confirm that security is something we are giving a lot of prominence to make sure that at the earliest time possible, the airport come back to normal. But as for now, security has been very highly enhanced.
Is there a particular team doing the investigation?
Naturally, there is a team that has been put together to do the investigation, both from the intelligence, criminal investigation department. So we have a team in place that is carrying out the investigations.
The absence of is that investigating team taking into consideration the fact that it's the 50th anniversary of the MC bombings today?
Well, when it comes to matters of investigation and security, they will know the parameters from which to operate from.
The absence of top KTN management in these press conferences is raising a lot of questions. Would you want to confirm that the management is still in charge of
Let me. You know, KA is doing a very commendable job. Right now, the most important thing is to make sure that we resume cargo flights. So don't read anything beyond. The MD and his team are very busy at the cargo terminal trying to make the final preparations together with the migration people. So they are just busy. We cannot all just come to the press conference. They are very busy.
We can take one more.
A bit more of a coincidence, given that the airport has been experiencing some disruptions just the last 2 days, and the government has been not taken too long to come in.
When was the government away?
I mean, in terms of really handling the situation, because the last 2 days there has been a bit of laxity.
Did you feel there was a lack of a government presence at any one time? Has anything happened to give you an indication of that? The last time I think you are informed that the Kenya pipeline was carrying out maintenance on one of the tanks, and that caused an airlock within the system, and that is what caused. So that has nothing to do with the fire incident.
Did this fire come from what used to be the duty-free section?
No. It came from the immigration section, after the bridges that you can see, the second desk of immigration, which is nearest to Terminal Unit 1. Yeah. Maybe last question.
We'll revert to them shortly. Come later on.
We'll be coming back to you at around 3 o'clock. So we want to go back so that we make sure that we put in place the preparations for the cargo. Right now we have allowed the cargo to come in. Fruits, flowers, they are coming in, they are being processed. And we want at 2:30, because we closed the airport up to 3. The airport was closed by Kenya Civil Aviation Authority up to 3. We hope that we will be able to resume domestic flights at after 3 o'clock, but we'll tell you that at 2:30.
Just one more.
Yeah.
Okay, just.
yangu, duty free ziko pande hii. Pahali ambapo moto ulianza ni pande hii. Mimi sioni uhusiano wote. They are about 50 meters apart. So what, people who are tweeting are not here. People who are tweeting probably have not even been to the airport. The reality of the issue is ni kwamba umeuliza na Kiswahili. Ukweli wa mambo ni kuwa hizo ziko bali sana. Duty free ziko pande hii na unaweza kuona pale tuko na unit 1, 2 and 3 departures, na moto ulianza pande ya arrivals after the bridges, pale kuna immigration. Kwa hivyo zimetengana sana. Kile kitu ambacho kilifanyika ni kuwa moto ulitabaa kwa bridge ya Ngaboire, na ndio unit 1 kuna vumbi na moshi nyingi sana, na hata unit 2. That is why tumesema tutatumia unit 3 ambao hata stima yake imetenganishwa na unit 2 and unit 3. So tutumie unit 3 kwanza sababu we can supply independent power. Sawa?
Okay, just for the helpline, the number is 0734 104 747. That is 0734 104 747. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Until the next briefing.
Right, and that has been the briefing from a host of government officials, cabinet secretary, airport officials, Kenya Airports Authority, and what they're saying, one, Engineer Kamau sought to clear that the origin of the place where the fire started was far from the duty-free zone, just to allay fears that have been running around on social media. But also we do know obviously that the fire has been contained. Another outcome of this press briefing is that the President Uhuru Kenyatta has assured foreign investors of the safety and that the situation is under control. We also know that all international flights remained cancelled. The airport is still closed. Edith?
Well, they do hope that domestic flights are going to resume anywhere between 2:30 and 3 o'clock is what he is saying. So efforts are being made to ensure that happens. But at the moment, he did say that 2 flights were stopped from landing from the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport owing to the fire, of course, and 5 of those flights were rerouted to Mombasa, and that's at the Moi International Airport. And speaking of those passengers, they did accumulate to about just over 1,000 people. Most of them say they're stranded, they want to go home. Others have businesses they're following. And that's the story we're bringing to you next. What happens to the passengers who didn't catch their flights?
We arrived at the airport at about 5:45 this morning. We're flying out to Dar es Salaam, supposedly at 8 a.m. We could see the fire, but it was small at that point. So we came in, we thought they were going to handle it. Now we've been waiting here almost 5 hours. We haven't heard anything. We watched for like 2.5 hours. We watched the airport burn. And now they seem to have it under control, but we still haven't heard what's happening with our flights. No one has communicated to us, so we don't have any information.
The fire was small, and it looked like it would be something which could be put out in a matter of maybe quarter of an hour or something like that. So the people I came with, they just said, okay, do you want to go? And I said, no, this is going to stop in a short while. And then it just suddenly blew up, and no fire brigade was coming. Nothing was being done.
We came very early. This, wherever the fire has really interfered with most of our activities because we were traveling to go and work in Lodwar. Now we are still here. I think we have now to reschedule our flights and then travel some other time.
Kwanza hatuna uhakika kama hiyo airport sasa hivi itaweza kuhandle maswali ya kuruka ndege au kutua ndege. Sasa hatujui lini tutaweza kuruka. Na hata kama zitaruka au zitaweza kutua haijulikani hasa nini kinaendelea sasa hivi. Walichotuambia sisi watu wa airline ni kwamba sasa hivi watatupeleka hoteli tukakae hapo tusubiri kauli nyingine.
And just the very latest with regard to that, the press briefing that has just concluded, Interior Cabinet Secretary Joseph Ololenku saying that the burden of ensuring that the passengers get to the destination has now been passed over to the airlines, and now they have to deal with the 16,000 passengers a day who walk in and out of the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport daily, I suppose.
Right, and talking just about the numbers, 16,000 is the number of passengers who use this particular facility on a single day, but 6 million is the number that use the JKIA in a year. Now, that is way above the capacity that is slated to be just about 2.5 million passengers, of course, showing concerns of capacity and the need to expand in this particular airport. And that's a conversation for later on. But what we do know now is that the responsibility of taking care of these stranded passengers has been passed over to the involved airlines.
Well, of course, people who are manning other airports, particularly the one in Eldoret, the Eldoret International Airport and the Moi International Airport in Mombasa, have that burden. And Betty Kiano is now joining us from our studios in Mombasa Road just to bring us up to speed with what's happening in those regions. Of course, they don't have the capacity to handle the number of passengers that Jomo Kenyatta International Airport did. So what happens next, Betty?
Well, thank you very much, Edith and Bonitunya, for keeping us updated. Indeed, very pertinent questions there. And maybe our audience doesn't know, but Kenya's 3 other international airports, including Mombasa's Moi International Airport, Kisumu International, and Eldoret International Airports, have had to adjust and actually prepare to deal with the diverted flights. Let's start with Mombasa, where KTN's Ferdinand Omoni has been following these details for us. Ferdinand, good afternoon. If you can hear me, tell us what's been happening there.
Good afternoon, Betty. Indeed, Mombasa has been very busy ever since the fire broke out at the Jomo Kenyatta Airport in Nairobi, and as a result, having that airport cancelled, we've received 5 planes confirmed which were coming in from overseas. They have landed and they have been cleared. The immigration officer telling us that 1,381 passengers have been cleared. The flights that were coming in were from Amsterdam, Jeddah, Mumbai, Hong Kong, and Dubai. A good number of these passengers were landing in Nairobi and were scheduled to stay in Nairobi, but others were also in transit. So according to immigration, those who were supposed to land in Nairobi and stay here have already been cleared and released, and they're finding their own ways out of the airport. Those who are supposed to be in transit, we've been told, have been retained there and they're being processed pending further organization by their own airlines to see exactly how they shall be rerouted to the connecting flights who are now supposed to be happening in Nairobi, which we now believe will be done from Mombasa. Another interesting detail that is coming in, all the 5 flights received in Mombasa were belonging to the Kenya Air National Carrier KQ, and according to the passengers here, they say they are extremely dissatisfied with the manner in which KQ has handled them. The accusation is that they have been told to find their own way of getting to Nairobi. We spoke to 2 passengers. One of them was Angugi Mbugwa, who says that when they arrived at 6 a.m. from Dubai, they received no communication why the plane was transferred to Mombasa until 2 hours later when KAA officials and KQ told them that there was a situation at the JKIA, and then they were told to find their way to Nairobi. So they have been traveling. Some of them have been coming to Mombasa town, very dissatisfied, of course, and disappointed, according to them, with what KQ has said. Another one who also came in from Mumbai also told us the same story. When they were on air about to land, the flight was diverted and they saw there was a situation at the JKIA. They landed in Mombasa. They said they also had to wait for about 2 hours before airport officials and KQ spoke to them, and the story is pretty much the same. Find your own way out, and they feel that perhaps KQ should have spoken about this. They're also saying that the manner in which they were handled at the airport itself wasn't really conducive for them. We tried to get a comment from the Kenya Airport Authority officials, but our cameraman was on the ground. Mwasi was telling us that there was a bit of hostility towards the journalists who are trying to get information there. We finally did get a comment from immigration and also the county commissioner, who is also the chairman of the county disaster management committee, who updated us that the security has been improved and enhanced at the airport and also at the hotels where some of the passengers are expected to go and spend a few nights as they find out exactly how to proceed with their journeys. So security has been beefed up at the airport and also at some of the installations that we expect some of those tourists to go and spend the nights. Of course, this also extends to the hotels here, which have been affected in one way or another. A lot of them were expecting a few passengers to depart the hotels. Our cameraman was at one of the hotels where we saw some of the tourists now having to check back into the hotels. But again, he tells me that the KQ officials, they actually tried to rough him up as he took the pictures. I do not know why there is this bit of hostility to the journalists who are simply trying to do their job, but we'll still be trying to push on to get the story exactly as it is. We also spoken to a cameraman, Eddie, who went to some of those bus stations, and he confirmed to us that some of the tourists, especially, or some of the passengers rather, were coming in and were told to find their way. The Kenyans actually moved into some of the bus stations, but talking about Coast Bus and Modern Coast, and have been able to find transportation. The latest detail I do have from the bus is that they have been fully booked for the day. So for any other passengers who haven't yet found a transport, they might have to look for other alternative means of transport or spend an extra night. We also learned that Modern Coast Bus Service itself has decided to get more buses from the road. Actually, some of them have gone all the way to the airport to pick the passengers from there. So that is the situation as it is right now. Still trying to follow up to see if there's any emerging details, of which we shall let you know as and when we do get them. Betty.
Well, Ferdinand, just before I let you leave, because of these passengers who are being received, they had not been planned for by the Mombasa airport, is there a sort of strain from that side?
Well, we did ask the immigration department that, but they said that they have enough personnel to handle the overflow of passengers. According to him, there are those who are supposed to be checking out and those who are coming in their shifts, so they have actually overlapped. No one, according to him, has been allowed to leave, so they say they have enough personnel to handle the excess load or overflow of people coming in. At least 1,300 more people they're handling than they were expecting, but according to him, there is no backlog and that they have been dealt with properly. And according to him, actually, the 1,300 passengers who came in have already been processed and they are free to leave the airport for wherever they want to go, except for those who are in transit, who of course have to wait for their respective airlines to process them for the transit routes. Betty.
Well, thank you very much, Ferdinand Omondi, for that update. Just to recap on what he has said, there are 5 flights which have already been, which landed and have been cleared already. They're from Amsterdam, Mumbai, Jeddah and Hong Kong. 1,300 passengers have been cleared. And of course, they're looking for other means in which maybe they can come to Nairobi. Ferdinand said that some of the buses there say they have been fully booked, and it might be a bit hard for passengers who would want to use a bus to travel from Mombasa to Nairobi. Something else that is, of course, a lot of concern is that some passengers say that communication has not been very satisfying, especially with Kenya Airways. They are dissatisfied with the communication. They did not know what exactly was happening, and it seems that Kenya Airways might have taken some time before they communicated that there was a fire at the JKIA. But of course, we'll be following those details and we'll be bringing you those details as we get them. Now, in Kisumu, about 100 passengers were also stranded at the airport after their Nairobi-bound flights were cancelled. The development inconvenienced travelers from the wider western region who usually rely on the transport hub to access the capital city as well as Mombasa. KTN's Fredo Mulo is monitoring the situation in Kisumu.
Kisumu International Airport primarily links the lakeside city to Nairobi, with almost all flights here operating to and from the capital city's JKIA. As a result, any small disruption in Nairobi ripples back to the lakeside.
We were told that all the flights have been cancelled. So we are stranded here now, mulling over what to do. Maybe looking for alternative means of reaching Nairobi, because my meeting is now cancelled. Cannot attend that business meeting.
The inconvenience extends south beyond Kisumu to parts of Kisii and Homa Bay, and north towards Western Province that all rely on the route due to its expediency.
I've traveled from Webuye to board from here to Nairobi. Yeah, I had about 4 items to do in Nairobi, starting at around 10, then come back in the evening today. So it's useless. I can't travel back. It's useless. There's nothing I'm going to do. I have to wait. I don't know whether it will happen before lunch or something like that.
So far, there's no solution in sight, and some of these passengers will have to wait until the problems in JKIA are resolved, hopefully in the course of the day. From Kisumu City, I am Fredo Mulo.
Thank you very much, Fred. He is just showing us how this situation here in Nairobi is not only affecting the passengers who are already here, but also in different areas in the country, like Kisumu. We go now to Eldoret, where Masi Kandie tells us scores of international athletes who are set to leave for the World Championships in Moscow have been caught in the aftermath of the JKIA fire. Masi, what can you tell us from Eldoret?
Yes, indeed, Betty Kialo. At the Eldoret International Airport, among those stranded from around 6:45 a.m. in the morning are two athletes of they have been training in Iten and Elgeyo Marakwet County. They are supposed to be participating in the Moscow Championships. The two are Taruk Mubarak. He is representing, however, Bahrain country and not Kenya, but he is participating in the 3,000 steeplechase. And also Hassan Mahabub, 10,000 meters. But he was the one who was worried because he was supposed to take a connecting flight from Eldoret to JKIA, now from JKIA at around 10 a.m. to Moscow. He will be participating in the championships on the 10th. That's about 3 days from now. We spoke to them at the Eldoret International Airport, and what they decided is to use road to Nairobi. And at about 12, we spoke to them, and they're still leaving Eldoret town. It takes about 6 hours from Eldoret to Nairobi. So we expect that they will be in Nairobi at around later on in the evening, just 6 hours later. That's the average time needed when using road from Eldoret to Nairobi. And they were really concerned because they were telling us that they need to be in Moscow tomorrow. So they yes to reach Nairobi, then from there they will be able to know if they will be able to reach Moscow. But the airport authority, we spoke to Peter Wafula, who's the airport manager, and he said that the Eldoret International Airport is able to handle the flights that will be rerouted later on in the day. As we speak to you right now, Betty, no flight has landed yet at Eldoret International Airport, but the personnel, staff, security officers who were off duty have all been recalled, and as we speak currently there's minimal activity, but at the Eldoret International Airport there is a lot of immigration officers and security personnel just awaiting the traffic that is anticipated to rock the Eldoret International Airport later on in the day. Also to be noted, Betty, is that the flights that were cancelled at the Eldoret International Airport are those flights that head to Lodwar and Nairobi. The airport handles about an average of five planes in a day, which is minimal compared, to the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. But the airport authorities assure us that they're able to handle the situation, and they're able to handle the situation as long as it continues. And also to be noted is that the Eldoret International Airport serves as an educational institution in the North Rift. At the airport, we met students who were there for an educational tour to see how planes are, the inside of a plane, but they're not able to do this as, there's no plane at the airport. But Betty, we will keep viewers posted as soon as we get this information. Betty?
Thank you very much, Masi Kandie, for that update. Of course, we'll be going back to you to just see what exactly has transpired, if those flights maybe going to Lodwar might have started taking place. Maybe just to recap on what Masi has brought us up to speed, 2 athletes have been stranded, of course, and many other passengers who were looking to travel to Nairobi. The 2 athletes include Taruk Mubarak and Hassan Mahabub. They are some of the people who have been stranded at the airport following the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport fire. They have since decided to use the road, and probably they'll be getting to Nairobi later on in the day. Just to repeat, the flights that go to Lodwar and Nairobi have been cancelled.
We don't know what will happen now. We want to go by road to Nairobi, then we see what we'll do. Maybe get the evening flight, then hopefully we'll be in Moscow by tomorrow. I still got enough time. I'm to be racing on 12th, but he has to be there because he has to run on 10,000 meters. So I'm worried for him, not actually me, because I still have time.
So we were meant to fly to Nairobi this morning at 8:30, and then myself and Jen were flying off to Mombasa at 12. But obviously both of those flights have now been cancelled. So our plan B, I think, is just to drive potentially. So that's going to cost us a lot more money, a lot more time. I don't even know what time we'd get into Mombasa tonight.
Worried passengers and, of course, athletes who say they should be on their way to Moscow for the athletics championships. But, of course, with this activities that we've seen throughout the day from 5 a.m., the Jomo Kenyatta fire, of course, those plans to travel have been halted. Just to recap, we've had Mercy Kandie, Ferdinand Omboni from Mombasa, and also Fred Omulo from Kisumu, just shedding light that this situation here in Nairobi is affecting a wider scope of people or passengers who are looking to travel today to various destinations. But of course, 5 planes have already landed and have been cleared at the Moi International Airport in Mombasa. That's about 1,300 passengers who have already been cleared and are on their way, just looking for what next. Maybe they will maybe they'll try and get a bus to come to Nairobi. Maybe they'll go to some hotels to just spend the night as they try to see what exactly will happen next. And I'll take you to Edith Kimani and Bonnie Tunya, who are at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Edith, what do you have for us?
We're still at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, and the latest that we're receiving from a section of firefighters is that they're still trying to fight flames which have come up from a different section of the airport. They're saying that it's a really small fire, something unexpected, but this is of course against the official statement by Cabinet Secretary of Interior Joseph Olelenku that the fire has been quelled and it has since subsided. We'll definitely keep you up to speed with regard to that.
Right, and talking about the statement coming from Olelenku, we also know that there is a team of intelligence that has been set to investigate this fire, and this team is made up from people from the discipline forces, the police, airport officials, and all the people involved in this particular situation. Also, we do know, coming from Engineer Kamau, is that priority is to resume flights for cargo, and we are expecting that particular announcement at 3 p.m. where they've slated the next press briefing. But what we do know for now is that international flights have still been shut out. We're expecting an announcement regarding domestic flight and cargo flights as at 3 p.m.
Speaking of 3 p.m., the government officials did mention that this is the time they're hoping that local flights, these are just local flights, will resume. So we will definitely keep an eye out on that and bring you all the details. They also did give a hotline, 0734 104 747. Let me just repeat that again. 0734 104 747 to anyone who might have any questions with regard to their flights, and of course any passengers who have arrived into the country.
And especially that line will be particularly important to the people who've been stranded and been rerouted to, say, Mombasa, and they're coming from different countries. That is a number you need to call to get any information regarding this particular fire. Now, we cannot talk about a fire without talking about the losses or the implications. Edith, what do we know so far in regards to what has been lost?
We do know that what was at the international arrivals terminus, some businesses included the baggage hall, banking facilities, car hire facilities, tour operators, hotel booking offices, baggage claim area. All of these were businesses which are operated by people hoping to make money. There are also the airlines who now have to foot a bill of having to keep passengers in hotels. These are just some of the financial implications that will be felt after this fire, and Michael Karanja has better details on that story.
Kenya is the economic hub for the East African region, with the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport the main gateway. JKIA is the second busiest airport on the continent, with the morning hours of between 5 and 8 a.m. peak arrival times for international passengers. This morning, a massive fire that is reported to have started at 4:30 a.m. has seen the airport shut down indefinitely. The national carrier Kenya Airways has made frantic efforts to reroute its flights. 5 flights were all diverted to Mombasa. According to a press statement from KQ, all its transit passengers are being facilitated to hotels in Nairobi and Mombasa. This is a contingency model expected to be replicated by other airlines plying this route, with financial implications expected. Ticket cancellations cannot be ruled out, with the indefinite shutting down of JKIA expected to disrupt flight schedules in the coming days. The month of August also marks the onset of the high season for tourists coming to Kenya. And with tourists notorious for meticulous planning, a disruption such as this could lead to a massive booking cancellation. For now, we can only wait to see how long the airport remains shut down and how soon operations, even at 50% capacity, can resume. Michael Karanja, KTN.
Right, and we're still here trying to make sense of this happening today that has rendered Kenya's international airport shut down. And of course, the media has been round the clock trying to make sense and trying to bring you this as it unfolds. One of our journalists who was here at the earliest in the morning, Sophia Wanuna, painted a picture of us of exactly what happened. I'm just joined with her. And Sophia, you are one of the earliest people who got here. How was the situation when you got here in the morning?
First, even as we were just leaving Mombasa Road, our office, you could already see the smoke billowing in the sky. It was so much smoke. So by that, you're already thinking, oh my gosh, this is really bad. And by the time we got to the entrance, turning into the JKIA, cars were bumper to bumper back to the road. So we had to just, just go to the side, show our IDs and come all the way in. So by the time we got again there near where the building was burning, you could see it from the other side. Huge, fierce fire, and it was going on and on. And at the time, there were 15 fire engines all trying to put out the fire. And I think, as I was saying earlier, this is a discussion that will come back to the front in terms of our disaster preparedness, because you could see the struggle with the fire engines.
And talking of that disaster preparedness and the response, we've seen a lot of government officials praising the response that we got from the different teams that are here. About 12 fire engines were here in the morning. But when you got here, how was the response, and how did the staff and the people working here respond to the situation?
They were all here, true. The fire engines were there in terms of showing up. They were here. But in terms of how they were being able to manage the fire, it was a struggle. You could see the water could go only as far, sometimes as high as the building, not into the fire. So the fire was raging on, and the water would just come so close, but not as to the point of putting out the fire. And that is why some of the people we've been talking to have been saying perhaps we should have aerial fire engines, something that would actually, because the fire, what we're told in the first press conference, what made it take too long to put out the fire was because it began right in the heart of the building. And so the setup and how this was constructed is that it's very hard to access those particular areas that the fire was burning more. And so it was very hard. So I think just in terms of infrastructure, better infrastructure in coming days of fighting fire would be needed.
Right. Sophia, we also mentioned, talking of response, the head of state, President Uhuru Kenyatta, was here in the early hours of the morning to assess the situation. What kind of message do you think that sent to Kenyans and the people trying to sort out the situation?
The importance and the magnitude of this incident, that it's not just an airport on fire. This has many repercussions. And the head of state coming up very early in the morning, he did not speak to the media, but he was taken round by the cabinet secretaries that were here, just being showed some of the damage that had been caused. But that in itself was a statement to just show this is serious, people, but we are here, we are working on it, and everything will be done, as we've had even in the recent press conference, to ensure that operations resume as soon as possible.
All right, Sophia Wanuna, many things. I know you need to catch your breath and take a rest, but good job and many thanks for briefing us. That has been Sophia Wanuna. She was amongst the earliest reporters on the scene here, at the scene of the fire at the JKIA, and she's just giving us a picture of exactly what happened. And we do know the head of state was here in the morning, perhaps giving a clear indication of how tragic this event has been. And of course, JK has been in the headlines in the recent past for all the wrong reasons, this yet again. And of course, those are pundits will ponder about that, but then again, this is a situation that we have to deal with it as a country.
Well, I did see someone on social media asking why it's such a big deal. Well, here are some facts. First of all, it's because the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport is the busiest airport in Eastern Central Africa. It's actually the 8th busiest in Africa. Not only that, we've just heard from the press briefing that it services up to 6 million passengers annually, and of those, 16,000 of them walk in and out of here daily. So those are 16,000 people who today might not know what will happen to them with regard to their flights. Well, we'll now hand you over to Betty Kialo, and we'll be back with more updates as and when they do unfold. Remember that KTN is covering this event for you in a way that only we can. Betty.
Thank you very much, guys. Doing a great job down there. And just to bring you up to speed with some disaster hotlines that have been given there by Esipisu, who is the State House spokesperson. 0734 104747. There you go on your screen. That is 0734 104 747. That is the disaster hotline. If you have any queries, anything that you'd want to know, that is the number that you need to call, 0734 104 747. You can tweet it, you can put it on social media. It's going to go a long way in helping someone who might just need some queries or just need some answers on what is happening at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport.